to get through all the life gain that his opponent's going to have.
You can see the name that he has been dubbed here, Barely Boros, which I think is pretty creative. Like we said, only 2 Boros charms in the main and 2 more in the sideboard, supported by 8 white sources. Is Boros charm so good that you splash just for it?
And we're underway. Got a Temple Garden and a Mountain and a Stromkirk Noble. It looked like Song also had a couple of Rakdos Cacklers in his hand. So choosing to get the Stromkirk Noble down early and start getting some counters on that. And we are going to see it get in and become a 2/2.
One of the small weaknesses in Saelim's deck, very few cards low on the curve, 4 Farseek, 2 Blind Obedience, 2 Feeling of Dread, and then other than that, you're talking 3 or higher, if not much higher.
Yeah, he has a few 3s and then goes way up from there, and a couple of Rakdos Cacklers coming out, and they're unleashed, so a good start for Song. Saelim does have a
Detention Sphere. Wow. Taking out, it was looking really grim if you ask me, and then Detention Sphere knocks out 2 creatures for 1 at once.
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought he might have a Supreme Verdict on 4 or something like that, but this is, this is going to save him 4 damage at least. So a pretty huge play there. Song just gets in and adds another counter. And plays a land and another Rakdos Cackler. So the Sphere didn't get 3 Rakdos Cacklers, but it did get 2.
If you're just joining us, this is round 3 of the Star City Games Open Series. Tristani, 2/5, and Long Song has to pick it up and check it out. So we got Long Song on the left and Saelim Sittikiat on the right.
And this is the second time today we're seeing Tristani, and I wonder if that's something we're going to be seeing more with these aggressive decks coming up. It's not a bad card at all. It's pretty aggressively costed with 5 toughness, which gets around a lot of stuff. And Song's going to add an Ash Zealot and pass the turn.
Now right here, I feel like, look at this, Saelim at 17 life, and he is going to go to 5 from the Thrag Tusk, and then I believe 3, because it's toughness, from the Tristani. So that's 8 life that he's going to pick up, going up to 25. Not to mention just the presence on the table.
Yeah, and if that Thrag Tusk does leave play, we're going to see a token, which would turn the Tristani's Populate ability on. Doesn't get used that often, but it would be cool to see that. And Song looks like he's thinking about his options. I mean, he is mostly dealing a lot of damage in smaller increments, except for the couple of Thundermaw Hellkites, so this could be pretty hard for him to come back from.
And he's got 5 mana now, and he says nothing with it. So there's no Thundermaw Hellkite unless he just top-decked it.
Looks like there's a couple more mountains in his hand. Possibly a burn spell.
In they all come.
Goes in, which might really be his only option at this point.
I hope there's not a Restoration Angel in Saelim's hand.
I don't even know how much life a Restoration Angel would gain him, but a pretty unreasonable amount.
12.
4, 5.
Oh, wait. Did
4,
I miss
5,
some? 3, 6, 11, 15, my bad.
3 from the Thrag Tusk, then 3 from the token,
and 4 from the butt of the angel, and then 5 for the
would gain him about
and he just takes it. When he just takes it, he's like, oh, whatever. I don't even care.
Yeah, blocking would... Oh, wow.
Angel of Serenity. Gain 6. Nuke your board.
And so this is going to put him up to I'm not sure if the 16 is before or after, but Searing Spear takes out the Thragtusk. And we're going to see a token probably come down. Looks like they're discussing something. And a token, which is going to gain him another 3 life.
This is an utter nightmare. I actually think I've had this nightmare. You know, I never had any of the in front of the classroom nightmares, but I have had this nightmare where I'm playing red and my opponent is like, you know what? I will not lose to you. I refuse.
Yeah, I mean, this does seem like a case of him really just saying, I'm going to gain a bunch of life, and everything that beats, I'm happy with.
I mean, against every aggressive deck, this has got to be just monstrous.
Yeah, and now he can use that Tristani to populate that beast token if he chooses to, and just repeatedly gain 3 life and build up a bigger army. Saelim has...
Rocks Faith Mender.
Wow. Oh no, it's Chalice.
Oh, it's a Chalice of Life? My bad, my bad.
Oh, you don't see Chalice of Life too often, so... So this Chalice of Life, it's I believe a 3-mana artifact that taps to gain 1 life. And if you have 30 or more life,
it flips.
It flips into a card that taps to make your opponent lose 5 life. So that's going to threaten to end the game very quickly. It looks like they're discussing,
I think,
Chalice of Life. Yeah, I'm really playing this.
Yeah.
Is what I imagine Saelim is saying.
Gain 1 life.
And flip. So
because he's gaining 4 from the Angel.
And not sure what he blinked with the Angel.
I believe that Salim's life might be incorrect on our numbers there. It might be even higher than we are believing it to be. As soon as we get that from the judge at the table, what the life total is that flipped to Chalice of Death, we'll let you know.
Yeah, he's at least 30.
And Long Song is like, you're at least, never mind, let's figure out what I do now.
Another situation with a red player saying, I don't really want to figure out dealing with Tristani. I'm just going to try again.
Now, amusingly, Long Song has 4 skull cracks in his sideboard, but I kind of wonder if this is going to be similar to what Melissa DeTora said about Skullcrack for Pro Tour, which is, she said, sure, Skullcrack me and stop my life gain. I'm just going to untap and do something else that's life gain as well, and I'll be just fine. Saelim has so much life gain. I know that Skullcrack will do some useful things. It'll do some work, but will it be enough?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a case where Skullcrack really has to finish him off for it to be useful. Or, like you said, he's just going to gain life again. It's even more true in the case of Salim's deck, where he has, you know, even more life gain than we're used to seeing. So it's going to make the Skullcrack effective in more situations, but, you know, in some ways, as a burn spell that targets a player, it's going to be overall less effective just because he is gaining so much life many times. And the Skullcrack's not going to be able to stop all of it. Probably. Unless it finishes things off.
I mean, it certainly could come at that super opportune time where it just makes it enough for him to finish Saelim off. But I have to say, I would not want to be sitting in Long Song's shoes right now.
Yeah, it could be used as sort of if Saelim does stumble at all, and Song has a quick start, he could use it to prevent Saelim from getting back into the game.
Yeah,
and that's probably going to be the most useful way that he can cast it. So we're going to assume he's bringing those in. He's also got Mizium Mortars and Volcanic Strength. Saelim has a lot of 5 toughness creatures between Faith Mender and Tristani, so I don't think we'll see the Mortars come in. He does have a couple more Boros Charms, though, which I imagine will come in just to try to get that extra damage and finish the game quickly. And you know, Song has 4 Hell Riders in his main deck, and also a couple of Hell Kites. So he does have the ability to do quite a lot of damage, and potentially get through that life gain. So we'll see how this goes.
If you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Ben Hayes. This is SCG Live. We're Star City Games in Cincinnati. It's the Open Series. We've got Long Song on the left playing a red deck that is just barely Boros, with 2 Boros Charms main, 2 Boros Charms in the sideboard, versus Saelim Sittikiat, who is playing a dedicated life gain deck. It's the Bant colors: Rock's Faith Mender, Thrag Tusk with Restoration Angel, Tristani, Chalice of Life, Sphinx's Revelations, Blind Obedience, or let me just put it this way, a nightmare for a deck like Long Song. A little bit of stumbling, and that's going to be what it's going to take for Long to win this, because if the game gets at all past the mid game, Saelim is probably going to take it over.
Yeah, and it looks like we might have Mulligan from Saelim, and I believe Long has kept his hand, although he may be thinking about it. Some sideboard options that Saelim has. He has a couple more Feeling of Dread to bring in, which he will probably want to, as his curve is pretty high, and he'll want something to keep from taking too much damage in the early game. Besides that, he has a couple of Elixir of Immortality, which could be useful, but are probably more against decking than actually to gain the 5 life. I think he has so much life gain in here, and Song has a lot of creatures that pure life gain is not going to be quite as good against.
Yeah, I think Feeling of Dread is probably all he's really going to go towards. He has Blind Obedience to help him against haste, but the 2 Feeling of Dread in the main, combined with the 2 Feeling of Dread in the board, is primarily there to stop Hellrider, Thundermaw, Hellkite, that kind of thing, from getting in a massive hit. And in essence, kind of using the Feeling of Dread as a quasi moments piece.
Yeah, so after a board, he could have as many as 4 of those, and Song is looking to, with a ton of 1-drops and 2-drops, to really flood the board. And thereof, Song's starting with a Stromkirk Noble, Saelim just passing the turn with a Breeding Pool. We're going to see that Noble get paired with a Stone Right, an attack, and Pump. So 2 damage and a counter. Again, a pretty good start, and diversified creatures, so he's not quite as vulnerable to Detention Sphere yet as he was in game 1. Looks like Saelim is going to play another Shockland tapped and pass the turn. Song is going to attack with both creatures and pump twice for 5 damage and another counter. So a good start. He's already got his opponent down to 13. And another Noble. So now he is vulnerable to Detention Sphere as in game 1, but you know, you have to play out your cards. You have to go for what you can get in this kind of situation. You see a Searing Spear, Sacred Foundry, a Mountain.
In they come. Wait, I have an effect.
Feeling of Dread. Yeah, there we go. So it's going to tap both Nobles, I think.
And
yeah.
He pumps it all into the Stone Right.
So Stone Right is going to deal 5 damage there. Dropping Saelim, I believe, to 8.
Day of Judgment?
We'll see what
or I should say Supreme Verdict?
We'll see what he can come out with. And it's
Tristani.
Tristani.
I mean, that's not a bad card, but he's in a lot of trouble right now.
Yeah, he may... Is Tristani a human or an elf? Because that's going to be important. If it is a human, then I believe he's dead on board.
It's a dryad.
It's a dryad, okay. So he's very close to dead, even so, just because both of his creatures have fire breathing and can pump for extra power. We're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. And a counter. That's interesting, he had a Searing Spear.
So he could have killed Saelim.
So he could have killed him right there, turning 2 mana into 3 damage instead of 2 mana into 2 damage. So we'll see if Saelim can come back from this. I mean, a Thrag Tusk alone would really jump his life total substantially. And he's going to have to gain some life, or he will probably be dead when Song untaps. And we'll see if he's got anything. Tap Temple Garden.
Oh, pass. He's got Feeling of Dread in the graveyard. That helps.
So it's an Ash Zealot.
Oh, boy.
I think we're going to see Feeling of Dread cast before the Ash Zealot resolves.
And if you were correct in seeing a Searing Spear in Long Song's hand, I mean, it's not going to matter too much about that Feeling of Dread. And Saelim goes to the next game. Now, we saw what happened in this game. Saelim essentially gained 0 life. And,
yeah, and it was pretty quick work.
Yes. Now, that Stonewright did 11 damage in that game.
Not bad for a 1-mana creature.
Yeah.
Cost a little more to do that damage, but it allowed him to do something with all of his resources every turn, which is a pretty good thing to be doing in Magic.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I have said that pre-Gate Crash, I was anti-Stromkirk Noble, and post-Gate Crash, I am back to being pro-Stromkirk Noble, and it has everything to do with context. A part of the reason that I'm not excited about Stromkirk Noble before is it just didn't do very much damage, usually. And the reason I like it now is that there are so many other aggressive cards, it ends up being sufficient to do the damage you need.
Yeah. And, I agree with that. More aggressive cards, as we talked about. More cards that reward you for being aggressive. Being able to use Boros Charm to deal 4 damage. Skullcrack to keep your opponent from getting out of that situation. Gate Crash really brought a lot of things that reward you for trying to get your opponent to 0 as fast as possible, and we're seeing a lot of red decks, a lot of red-green decks, sort of take that and run with it.
Well, one of the things about that Reckoner, too, if you're an aggressive deck and you've got a Reckoner in play, it's just such a monster, like... If you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Ben Hayes, round 3 of the Star City Games Open Series. On the left, Long Song, the red aggro deck here. It has just enough Boros cards in it to be barely Boros. And on the right, Saelim Sittikiat, a Bant life gain deck. And when we say life gain, we mean dedicated life gain a la Chalice of Life.
Yeah, he's got Rock's Faithmender and Tristani both in his main deck. Chalice of Life, Sphinx's Revelation. He's really looking to gain as much life as possible and put the game away against the aggressive decks we were just talking about that have popped up since Gate Crash.
Both players mulliganing here.
Yep. So we were talking about Song needing a fast start to sort of take advantage of Saelim's higher curve. And in that game, we saw Saelim even did have a Feeling of Dread, and it just wasn't enough. He still got taken out, and as you mentioned, Stonewright dealt I think you said 11 damage.
It did 11 damage that turn. Now, I am counting Stonewright pumping up Noble as Stonewright damage.
That seems fair. So yeah, we'll see if Song can have a repeat performance in terms of getting him down quickly, or if it'll be more like game 1, where Saelim gains 50 billion life off of Tristani and Restoration Angel, Thragtusk, and then eventually a Chalice of Life that turned into Chalice of Death, which you don't see too often in Constructed.
Yes, this is true. This is true. I was a huge fan of Pristine Talisman, but a lot of people said, oh, Chalice of Life, it's even better. I actually don't really like Chalice of Life at all, but that has everything to do with I like to do a little bit more for my cards than gain life, unless the life gain is absurd.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Talisman, Pristine Talisman ramping you was a pretty big deal, even though Chalice of Life can become a win condition. I'd also take Pristine Talisman over it.
Yeah.
In a void. And we're going to see each player with 6 cards.
Saelim on the play here for game 3.
Which is pretty important with his higher curve. I mean, getting out ahead and being able to gain that life.
I think I see a Detention Sphere and a Tristani and 3 land and a mystery card from Saelim, but I'm not sure.
I think I saw 1 land and a bunch of 1-drops from Song, as well as what I think was a Thundermaw Hellkite and a new card that I don't recognize. So we see a Stone Right again, and they're gonna pair.
Best friends forever.
And Cackler will come across for 3 damage. Song has another Cackler in hand and chose not to play it here. To play around getting Detention Sphere again for both of those, an eventual Supreme Verdict that might happen. So, and yeah, there we see he got the extra damage in and still has that Rakdos Cackler to play now.
Very wisely done by Long Song.
Draws another land and
best friends forever.
Paired up, and now we're going to see, I believe, probably 3 damage from the Stone Right. So the Stone Right counter for anyone keeping track at home is up to, I think, 15 now.
Well, I'm counting him Stone Right by Stone Right, but in this match, 15, yes. This particular Stone Right has done 4.
A modest 4 in this match. Looks like Saelim's gonna... Did he play the Breeding Pool that turn?
Tristani again.
So you see Tristani come down again, Saelim down to 12. Is that a Skullcrack in his hand?
He's moving... here they come. He's moving his cards very quickly, so it's hard to tell. And Saelim has an interesting choice here. He's got to decide if he's going to block. He's like, yep, I'll block. That'll take up your entire turn if you want to pump up to kill my guy.
And I think he probably...
I think he does. I think he wants to do it
here. I mean, it's very dangerous for him to leave that Tristani on the...
Oh, wow.
That's another option. So
wow.
He's going to deal 6 here, dropping Saelim to 6.
Oh, that is dangerous. I wonder what's going to happen.
Yeah, I really wonder what that 3rd card in his hand is, because it looks like a Skullcrack to me, which... And there's that 10 life that we saw earlier today from Caleb Durward, I think.
Wow. Long Song. Wow. He is in trouble now.
Yeah, so 10 life, pretty far out of reach. Although we do have a Hellkite on Song's side.
I think it's going to come.
Which probably has to here. And 5, dropping him back down to 11. So, not totally out of it. That Hellkite can definitely do some good work, but any more creatures are going to be really devastating from Saelim here. Basically gaining him, their toughness and then double, and could get out of hand pretty quickly. So we'll see what he can come up with.
I don't think Saelim has another creature.
I think if he had it, he would have cast it. unless he's thinking about how much life he can gain.
That's funny. In for a total of 3 plus the life gain from the Rock Swarmender's lifelink.
Right, so he's going to gain 2 here, going up to 13. And we'll see what he's got. Just a Farseek, and see if he has anything else.
Wow, if he is attacking with that Rocks.
Yeah, I guess. Huh.
Wow, he's got Feeling of Dread in his hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably what it is. We see an Ash Zealot and what looks like a Hell Rider, which, well, he better have Feeling of Dread in his hand, or this is 2, 7,
he's
10, 13. That's exactly lethal if he doesn't have Feeling of Dread, but yeah, he does.
Slow it down, buddy. I got something to do.
Okay. So, 3 damage. Coming across Spectacular with a Hell Rider trigger.
Let's knock Saelim Sittikiat down to 10. A creature here. He's got the 5 mana for a Thrag Tusk. If he has it in his hand.
Yeah, if he can.
That almost.
Huh. Another attack here.
Remember, he does have Feeling of Dread. He's gaining 2 life here.
So he can flashback Feeling of Dread and, you know, take 3 or potentially more damage. We know Song has an Ash Zealot, so that makes the Feeling of Dread option a little worse, although he can cast it before the Ash Zealot hits the table. And we'll see what he decides to do. He does go with that Ash Zealot.
Saelim, in order to avoid the trigger, will need to respond to that with a Feeling of Dread from the graveyard.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what he's doing. Tapping the same 2 creatures. They might be talking about when it's being cast.
And Long Song agrees that that was after or before the Ash Zealot was hitting the table.
Another Feeling of Dread? Yeah.
Another Feeling. Wow. Ouch. I believe this one's being cast inside combat before the attackers are declared.
Yeah.
Long Song says go.
So another opportunity for Saelim to have a creature. Big Sigh.
And that is a Skullcrack in Long Song's hand.
Huh. Oh, wow. Okay. So...
He's like, crack you.
Skullcrack.
Take 3, no life gain.
9. He's not going to gain life off the lifelink from the rocks. And looks like Song is hoping to finish things off next turn. Did Saelim play an untapped? Oh no, that's a Hinterland Harbor, I think. And what is that card?
I think it might be a Blind Obedience, but I can't quite tell.
He's tapping 4 mana. Oh, I think it's the alternate art Supreme Verdict.
Oh, okay. Supreme Verdict clears the table. And remember, there's still a Feeling of Dread in Saelim's graveyard.
But that was huge that, Song forced Saelim to get rid of his own Tristani and Rock's Faithmender, which... Oh, and he has another
Thundermaw.
So we'll probably see that. Yeah, that's not happening. It's going to get tapped. But Song's still in a very good position. I mean, Saelim has a card or 2, but facing out a 5/5 with just 9 life. And another land.
Takes 2. Twice to 7.
Angel of Serenity, maybe? I'm not sure if that puts him at. Yep.
Boom. Take out your Thundermaw. Return the 2 creatures I wrathed. He's like, where did those come from? My graveyard. That's where they came from.
So, a land drawn by Song. And I don't know what the card
Song
in his
in
hand
trouble
is.
now. 2 swings from death. I believe Song has another Skullcrack in hand. I'm not 100% sure of that, though.
Huh.
that a Mizium Mortars?
Looks like a Mortars, maybe.
Yeah, that's a Mortars.
Oh, is that a Skullcrack, the other card, or is that a Brimstone Volley?
Oh, is it a Brimstone Volley?
I think it might be a Brimstone Volley.
Yep, you're right. It is a Brimstone Volley.
Okay.
Dead Angel. These guys come back. What do they do? Oh, they go back to your hand?
So he's about to gain... If he can cast both those, he's about to gain another 10. Wow.
He is 1 mana shy of casting both of them in the same turn.
So it could be risky for him to...
And a Restoration Angel at the end of turn.
Guess that's going to drop Song to 1.
Oh, Angel cannot flash an Angel, so...
Yeah, if he has... Depending on what he has, the Thundermaw Hellkite plus a burn spell could do it. It looks like he has 3 cards in hand, so the 2 he returned plus 1, at least 3. And we're going to see Tristani come back down. And a Chalice of Life. Huh.
Okay. He's still a Searing Spear away from death.
And a draw, we didn't see what that was. We know he has a Hellkite.
That is it.
Sacred Foundry, I think, is what he drew.
That is it. That was close.
Yeah.
Wow. That was seriously super close.